No blade, no teeth, nothing even touches the surface. Yet, seconds later, a thick steel plate has been separated by a narrow, clean cut, accurate to a fraction of a millimeter. From the outside, it looks like a simple point of light moving across metal. But inside that point, several processes are happening almost simultaneously. Light is being amplified and focused. Steel is being melted, and a powerful gas jet is removing the molten material before it can solidify again. So how can light cut through steel? And why can a tiny change in focus, speed, or gas pressure ruin the entire cut? The process begins before the laser ever reaches the metal. A CAD cutting layout defines the exact shape of each component. A CNC nesting plan then arranges those shapes closely across the carbon steel sheet, reducing wasted material while leaving enough space for stable cutting. The controller also receives the material type, sheet thickness, laser power, cutting speed, focal position, and assist gas settings. Every parameter affects how the steel responds to energy. Choose one incorrectly, and the result may be heavy slag, burned edges, distorted corners, or a cut that never reaches the bottom of the sheet. Once the program starts, the fiber laser source module comes alive. A pump diode array injects energy into an optical combiner, which directs it into the ytterbium-doped active fiber. Inside its microscopic core, energized ytterbium ions release more photons with matching properties. As the light travels through the fiber, it is repeatedly amplified until it becomes a concentrated infrared laser beam carrying thousands of watts of power. But this beam is not the bright red line often shown in movies. Industrial fiber lasers usually operate in the near-infrared range, beyond human vision. Most of the light visible during cutting comes from heated metal, sparks, and ejected material. The cutting energy itself is largely invisible. Raw power alone still cannot cut steel. If the energy remains spread over a wide area, it will only heat the surface. The beam therefore enters the precision laser cutting head and passes through the focusing lens assembly. These optics reshape the beam and force its energy into a spot often smaller than half a millimeter. At that focal point, the power density rises dramatically, and the temperature of the steel passes its melting point almost instantly. Before the head can follow the programmed outline, it must first create a complete opening through the plate. This is the piercing stage. The infrared laser beam remains over a small area while the metal melts from the top surface toward the bottom. A laser piercing crater begins to form as molten metal and vapor are forced upward and outward. Piercing is one of the most violent moments in the entire operation. If too much power arrives too quickly, molten steel can splash onto the coaxial cutting nozzle or contaminate the protective optical window. If the process is too slow, heat spreads outward and leaves an oversized, damaged crater. For thick steel, the machine may divide the pierce into controlled power stages or laser pulses, allowing the opening to deepen without overheating the surrounding material. Once the beam reaches the bottom of the sheet, the CNC motion gantry begins moving the cutting head along the programmed path. The laser continuously creates a narrow molten steel pool just ahead of the cut. But heat alone is not enough. Without another force, the liquid metal would remain inside the gap and freeze back into place. This is where the high-pressure assist gas system becomes essential. Gas travels through the cutting head and exits the coaxial cutting nozzle along the same axis as the beam. The concentrated gas jet enters the narrow cutting kerf and drives the ejected molten metal stream downward through the plate. The laser does not need to vaporize every particle of steel. It only needs to melt a thin zone, while the gas removes that liquid before it can solidify. The choice of gas changes the entire process. When cutting thick carbon steel, oxygen-cutting gas can react with the hot metal. This oxidation releases additional heat, helping the beam penetrate the plate. Oxygen can therefore make thick steel easier to cut, but it leaves an oxide layer along the edge. That surface may require cleaning before certain welding, painting, or coating operations. When a cleaner edge is required, the system can use nitrogen cutting gas instead. Nitrogen is largely inert during the process. Rather than adding chemical heat, It uses high pressure to force the molten steel out of the kerf while shielding the edge from surrounding oxygen. The result can be a brighter, less oxidized surface, although it often requires greater laser power, higher gas pressure, and increased gas consumption. While energy and gas act on the steel, another system must keep the cutting head at exactly the correct height. A sheet may appear flat, but it can curve, vibrate, or deform as heat moves through it. The capacitive height sensor continuously measures the distance between the nozzle and the metal surface. The vertical axis responds in real time, raising or lowering the head to preserve the required gap. If the nozzle moves too high, the gas jet spreads before reaching the kerf, and the beam focus may shift away from its intended position. If it moves too low, the nozzle can strike the sheet or collide with the component that has tilted upward after being cut free. A change of only a small fraction of a millimeter can affect both cut quality and machine safety. Speed creates another problem. Along a long straight path, the cutting head can move rapidly, but when it reaches a sharp corner, the CNC motion gantry must slow down to change direction. If laser power remains unchanged while speed falls, too much energy accumulates in one place. The corner may widen, burn, round off, or deform. The controller therefore coordinates motion, laser power, pulse frequency, focal position, and gas flow continuously. Near small holes or tight corners, it can reduce the power or change the beam to a controlled pulse pattern. Once the head returns to a straight section, the system increases speed and power again. These adjustments happen while the machine is still moving. The finished edge records everything that occurred inside the kerf. Cut edge striations reveal how molten metal flowed downward during the process. If the head moved too quickly, the lower portion of the sheet may not have received enough energy. If it moved too slowly, the kerf becomes wider and excessive heat spreads into the surrounding steel. If gas pressure was insufficient, liquid metal remains attached underneath and cools into a solidified slag burr. Even the focal position must change with material and thickness. Depending on the process, the smallest point of the beam may be placed near the surface, inside the plate, or slightly below the top surface. This controls the shape of the kerf and the way energy is distributed through the thickness. A powerful laser does not automatically produce a good cut. The final quality depends on the balance between optics, energy, motion, material, and gas. As the final outline closes, the laser switches off and the head moves away. The finished steel component separates from the surrounding sheet or remains supported by the cutting bed until an automated system removes it. A process monitoring sensor may watch the piercing flash, detect unstable cutting, adjust the feed rate, or prevent the head from colliding with the raised part. The entire operation may take only seconds, but the steel was never cut by light alone. The laser supplied the energy. The lenses concentrated it. The gas removed the molten metal. The sensors held the cutting head in position. And the CNC system synchronized everything with extraordinary precision. The glowing point moving across the surface is only the part we can see. Beneath it is a process controlled through every photon, every movement, every jet of gas, and every fraction of a millimeter.